Hi, my name is Cami and you're locked into Eightseven.co.
How would you describe yourself and your blog?
My blog is basically just about me trying to do life with Jesus kind of like in the mix, in the middle of it, and just trying to get through like regular stresses, like regular issues, regular joys, and kind of just trying to figure it out a bit, because I feel like being a girl and being black as well and having a full-time job and moving away from home and everything like that, like it's enough of a struggle. And then when you add like trying to be a Christian and trying to like figure that out as well while you're trying to figure yourself out, it can get difficult. And I feel like it helps me to write it down and to just process everything. So that's kind of what my blog is about. I'm a weird kid. I'm really sarcastic. I like comic books. I'm a big DC fan. Love it.
What inspired you to then start a blog?
I was at a bar with my friend after church. We were having rum, tequila, one of the two. We were getting happy. And I have this thing where I come out with utter crap, but then every now and then there's like a little golden nugget. It's like, let me save that. And I think I said something that she might have thought in her, rum-induced state sounded decent. And she said, you should have a blog. And I was like, I should have a blog. And I don't know why, but I did it.
Yeah.
And it's now a thing. So that's what happened. That is what happened.
That is one of the greatest stories I've heard.
That is a true story.
You do your blog, you moved away from home. You're also a nurse in our vaunted NHS. How do you balance work and blogging?
Very badly.
Okay.
Very badly. It's so funny because I posted, I think like a couple of weeks ago, where what happened was I was really, really tired and I was telling one of my friends, like, I don't want to do anything. I want to get up, blah, blah, blah. And it was Wednesday and it was like 2 p.m. on a Wednesday. And I usually post around like 9 p.m., 10 p.m. on a Wednesday night. And she was like, don't you have a blog post to write? And I was like, yeah, I do. Awkward. I post on Instagram, like, everyone needs a friend like this. Like someone who will not take anything from you, will just tell you like, hey, get it together. Yeah, get it together. So yeah, I think I do get tired and I do get like, oh, do I want to do this? And I really, really try hard to not kind of push back the day. I think it's happened maybe like 2-3 times. But I do try and keep on top of it. I do try and like write down an idea when it comes to me. And I try and kind of like do it as early as possible. Sometimes it can't be done, but I think I don't beat myself up about it too much. Because then it becomes forced, and I don't want it to be forced. It's just kind of like what I like to do.
That's cool. When you are on the ball and you're just going through the motions, you're writing your blog, what's the process?
I kind of think about what I want to write. It's usually something that I've been struggling with that week or something that I feel like I could have done that better, and kind of it's usually stuff like that. So then I'll sit and think about it and I'll kind of just be like, right, well, what did you do and why did you do what you did, and what would God think of what you did, and how would God want you to do better or be better? And I feel like the thing is that God doesn't want you to be better from the outside. Like, he doesn't want you to stop saying bad things out loud. Like, he wants to change your heart and stop you from feeling bad things from within. And I feel like that's what makes it interesting. Because I think if it was just about doing better, it would be more of a self-help thing. And it's really not, because I have no authority to tell anyone how to live their lives. But I think it's just thinking about how you change from the inside and difficult that actually is, but how plausible it is once you have God in the mix and the Holy Spirit in the mix, and when you're reading the word even a little bit, or even when you're kind of like listening to a little bit more worship music, or just something, just making those little changes that allow God in makes a whole lot of difference.
It's just about giving them time, though, isn't
It
it?
takes a long time. And I try not to kind of make it look like it's going to take a second. Like I do, like if it's something that I'm struggling with or that I have struggled with, I will always say, this took me years, or this has taken me months, or I've been doing this for however much time and it's really not working and I'm getting frustrated. And I think that's really important, because I feel like people look up to the Brian Houstons and Christine Caines and John Grays of this world, and they don't realize it actually takes a lot of time. Like, these people aren't my age. They're not 22. They're in their 40s, 50s, 60s. They've had a while to be as good as they are at what they do. And like, I'm only just starting. So I'm trying to make it as honest and as real as possible, because it's not good to kind of set unrealistic goals. You can set like miraculous goals and like, God is going to do this goals, but it's not about overnight. It's about the journey. It's about walking in it and staying in it and being faithful to it. That's where the change comes. That's what I've realized.
So in terms of blogging, you tend to blog from your experience.
Yeah.
How has that been received from those who've read your blogs?
Like one of the ways I really get through writing my blog, because it's like super personal to me, and I am sharing stuff that like 2 years ago I wouldn't even have hinted at to my closest friends. And I think that's just a sign of growth in a different way. But like, I have to kind of tell myself that no one's going to read it, and that I can say whatever I want and no one's going to, ask me questions, and no one's going to look twice. I think that's how I get brave to do the thing. But then every now and again, someone will like message me on Instagram and be like, hey, like, that was really, really good, or this really helped me, or like, I'm struggling with something really similar right now. And it's just good to know that I'm not isolated in this. Like, it's not something that I can't see through or come out of or endure. And to be honest, it's a bit cringy, but in a way, it's also just like really encouraging to me, because I think everyone who is putting a little bit of themselves out there, like you guys do it with your interviews and stuff, like, or when you're creative in general, like when you're putting a little bit of yourself out there, you always kind of have this little voice in the back of your head that's like, this is a terrible idea, and you have to fight that every single time. But it's just encouraging that what I wanted to do, which is just to give people something to relate to who are on this walk like I am, it's doing its job, and that's all I really wanted. Like, if it's one person, then that's enough.
Being so open, like, especially on the internet nowadays, it's like a no holds barred sort of.
It's risky. It's risky.
Have you had experiences where you've had to sort of, it's been negative?
Not yet.
That's good.
Not yet. There is time.
You've done some interesting topics on your blogs. You did talk about Libya.
That I did.
Which was powerful stuff.
Oh, thank you.
There was the New Year's one where you talked about your faith in there, and you talked about New Year's and what it means. And is there anything you sort of hold back on?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there are some things where you're like, this is too much information, or this isn't relevant, or like sharing this would just be indulgent of me. And there are other things that I'm just plain and simple not ready to share, and that's just the way it is. But for the time being, I feel like it's okay. I feel like what I'm sharing is all right. It's doing the job. If I ever feel the need to share something, then I will. It's just like, if I share this, is it going to help somebody? Because if I'm sharing it just for me, then I might as well kind of almost not, because it's not really about me as such for the most part. It's more about, is this going to help someone else?
How do you feel like you've grown as a blogger since you started to where you are now?
I have not grown in height.
Well,
I'm very small. Yeah. I feel like I've become more accepting of myself. Like I did a post on like reading the Bible or something like that. I think it was reading the Bible. And I started the post by saying, like, some people are going to think I'm a really bad Christian for this. And it was basically like how hard I find it to read the Bible sometimes. And like how hard it is to get into and, you know, to like glean from and stuff. And it was like, that's genuinely how I felt when I posted that. I was like, I'm such a bad Christian. Like, I'm so bad at this. But just kind of seeing how many people identified with that was like, we can't all be crappy. Like, it's, you know, it's got to be...
I mean, and it's you being honest.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't...
Surely it's got to be something that it's just one of those things that needs work. Yeah. I've really learned to just take my time with myself. Like, God's clearly not finished with me because I'm still here.
Yeah.
So while I'm here, I've got to make the most of what I have and do the best at what I can do the best in, and just trust that God will make up the difference if I'm lacking in anything, and that He will grow me into the kind of person that we both want me to be.
In terms of your topics, have you been tempted to sort of jump on a bandwagon? And let me explain this a bit. Like, over the course of a year, there's always something that kicks off. Yeah. So whatever the situation is, have you been tempted to sort of write a topic based on that subject because it may bring more eyes to it?
No, and I feel like it comes back to the whole, like, in order for me to be so honest, I have to convince myself that no one's going to read it. I'm not really applying to that audience with what I'm writing. I feel like I'm not applying to something that's trendy. Like, I don't think Christianity is trendy. I don't think, like, talking about issues openly and honestly is trendy. I feel like it's trying to be. But I think that as long as it's got too much glitz and glamour around it, it's always going to come off fake to those people who really feel it.
So in terms of this year, 2018, what's the one thing you want to achieve for the blog? And then what's the one thing you want to achieve personally?
For the blog, I just want it to be blessed, and I want it to bless people. And it's not really something for me where I feel like I have to achieve anything with it. I feel like it's something that I just have to continue doing. I have to keep remembering why I'm doing it in the first place.
And why are you doing it in the first place?
I'm doing it in the first place because I have a real issue with quitting things that I start, even if it's the most hopeless thing. But also because the responses I've got from it have been really touching.
Yeah.
Like in the intro to my blog, like I have a little intro at the top of the page, and it's talking about almost why I'm doing what I'm doing. And there's a bit in it that says that as a young Christian, you're going through all kinds of things, and you know, people who are older than you, who would usually give you wisdom, like, they forget to tell you all this stuff to do with, you know, what you're going to go through and what you're going to experience and how hard it's going to be. And like, not in like a first world struggles kind of way, but in a way that, like, you know, it takes some effort to get through this stuff. And they either forget to tell you, or they're in the moment, they're in the thick of it themselves, and they don't want to share it. And I feel like it's a loss, because we have the opportunity to be so much better if we're just open and honest with each other. And if we share our techniques, our tactics, if we share basically what God has given us with other people, then it just makes our community stronger, it makes our family stronger, it makes our friends stronger, it makes ourselves stronger. Not even just for Christianity, but literally like for anything, like for work, you know, for friendships, for hobbies that you want to get really good at. Like, that's how you do it. You form a community, and you share, and you guide, and you know, transition, and you grow together. And that's why I'm doing it, because I know that someone out there is like me 3 years ago, just wondering how they're going to get to where I am now from where I was. And if it helps that person even a little bit, then it's good. Yeah, then it's good. It's a good thing.